Brother Bill.
Yes, sir.
Sister Linda.
Well, thank you, my friend. You can't get a better intro than that, can you? Pastor Cletty and Gaynell, we just thank you for the honor to be able to be with you in your house. And for those of you who are joining us all over the world tonight, we welcome you. This is an evening that really has been in creation for a long period of time. And that is to find a way to be able to create connections to yourself, to the Lord, and to your spouse and to your family. And for those of you who've come as a couple tonight, congratulations, this is date night. Hopefully the food was good, the desserts are good, the drinks are good, life is good. And so you had a chance to dress up, get official. Linda and I checked our outfits out tonight. She checked mine out, made sure I was okay. I checked hers out. I said, you look great. So we're all ready for the date night. So this evening, we wanted to give you an opportunity to really create the love of your life that you've always wanted. Now, as I look around the room, just like we've been around a while. So you kind of think you know something about your spouse or the significant other or those family members that you have put probably in a box and you've figured them out. But I don't know about you, I still have not figured Linda out. Even today, I said, honey, I don't know what you're talking about. And I decided that it's just a mystery. You know, there are just some things that are mysteries. And men, we know, as soon as you figure them out, they change. And they come up with something else. So we have to adjust to that. And so happiness is learning to adjust. Will we agree with that? So this evening, we've got some lovely things prepared for you. And for those of you who are watching on live stream or maybe a replay in the future, you'll be able to take advantage of these ideas tonight because there are three core principles we're going to share this evening. So as an opening, anything else, honey, you want to share with?
Yes. For us, marriage is really, really important because we've been in painful circumstances that were almost unbearable. And so it doesn't have to be that way. And so what we're going to share with you is we actually made 3 rules before we got married. And we're going to share those 3 rules as we go along tonight. But the most important thing to remember in a marriage is that we were made to love, to give love, and also receive love. So if either of those things are thwarted, we begin to feel a little bit negative, or we begin to disconnect in a way from our spouse. And so we pull back a little bit, and then the spouse feels that too. And so then they pull back, and all of a sudden you've got a spiral downward. And you're in circumstances and situations that you have no idea how you got there or what even took place. And so tonight we're going to go over some of those things to help you so that you can prevent that from happening. Marriage is supposed to be unspeakable joy. We are the bride of Christ. Jesus is just lavishes love on us. And so we want to be able to emulate that in our own marriages.
So this evening, there are going to be several activities that are going to happen because we've learned this. In the McGrane household, you know, every family has their own isms. Do you have your own isms? Like in the McGrane families, we had isms. So one of them is experience the experience of the experience. Now, when my dad told me that, I said, I have no idea what you're talking about, Dad. He said, experience the experience of the experience so you know what that experience is like. And so the reason that we wanted to do this live for those of you who are attending with this live is because it's a different experience than watching it on live stream than it is here. And the disadvantage to those of you who didn't get to be a part of the live event is hopefully we can get a picture shot of all those wonderful, nice treats that everybody had. And then we had the dessert and the drink treats over here. So hopefully those of you who are doing the camera shots, you can get a couple pictures of those to have those who are not here to salivate over the treats. And again, Amberly, we want to thank you for putting that together and all the other people who helped put it together as well. Thank you. Linda can always tell when I'm impatient and I'm not listening. I either need to eat or I need to go to the bathroom. And those are her two signals that she usually asks me, Bill, do you need to do one of those things? Because once she gets that figured out, then I will be present to the moment and whatever it is that she wants to share with me. So I'm going to ask a volunteer from each table because there are going to be some things we're going to hand out. And so what I'd like to do is to have somebody at each table come forward, and we're going to give you our handout for what we're going to be working through tonight. So each person, if you will come forward, we're going to give you your handouts and just take enough for each location and give people, just take a bunch of them.
Here.
There you go. Just take a bunch and make sure everybody gets them. There you go. Thank you. There you go. Just get as many as you need there. So for those of you who are joining us live stream, it's going to look like this. And hopefully you got the link that allows you to print this out. If you didn't, print it out later and take advantage of this because these are the pages we're going to be going through today. Do you remember that moment in time when you never thought there could be a love of your own life? You were maybe alone, didn't feel there was going to be a chance for you to find someone that you could spend the rest of your life with. And then all of a sudden, something came along. A magic moment took place. That separation and isolation got filled with what I call a goosebump experience. Did you ever have a goosebump experience, where your hairs get a little prickly and you get all excited about seeing each other? You can't wait to be able to go places together and spend as much time as you can together. And life is just blissful. And so that's what that picture shows on the front, is that special time that you had. But I want to go back a little further from that, and that is that, man was created, and then woman was created, and then because men didn't learn how to become men, they then created impacts on the women, and then the men and the women didn't get along well, and so they said, let's have children. That'll solve our problems. Well, many of you have probably done that already. Found out that didn't fix it. And then all of a sudden now you might be in that twilight zone where the kids have left, and now it's just the two of you again. And so now the question is, how are you going to spend the rest of that time together? And so what we want to do is to give you some keys and some tools to be able to create a breakthrough. So if you would, put your name at the bottom on the first page there, today's date, and you want to benchmark your experience. Anybody need pens? All right, if you will, there is some pens right over there, darling. And if you need a pen, come on up and we'll give you a pen. This is a McGrane experience. And what a McGrane experience means is that you're just not always going to sit all the time. You're going to be experiencing the experience of the experience. So Jerry there is passing out pens. Half of life is being prepared. I always say 90% of success is planning and preparation and 10% execution. So the easy part is now going to unfold with each of you here. So if you will, go to your next page. And as you see this here, you see that there are 3 gifts that we're going to share with you on creating loving relationships. And this is a segment of a longer program that we do. And so for those of you who want something more in depth, at the end, we're going to share with you some ways that you can take advantage of other things that we're doing. But these are the key pieces that we wanted to share tonight that will give you immediate ideas to create some wonderful, more loving relationship experiences with all of your family. So you think about yourself, you think about your relationship with the Lord, you think about your relationship with your spouse or ex-spouses, you think about your relationships with your children or your stepchildren, you think about your extended family, you think about your community, and then you think about the city and town that you live in, and then our country and the world. So when we see you here tonight, we just don't see you as an individual or as a couple. We see all the lives that you'll impact. There's a law called the Law of 250 that says every person significantly impacts at least 250 other people in such a significant way that you never forget them. The question is, was it a positive or negative impact? And so all of us can think about people who are negatively impacting our lives, but what about those people that positively have impacted your life? And so what are you doing to focus on those kinds of things? Now, have you ever identified what you know to be the top reasons that marriages and relationships break down? What keeps them together? So here's something to consider. Communications is the number one thing, number one issue in relationships. Number two is financial issues and not knowing how to resolve those things. These are extra bonuses, by the way. They're not in your notebook, and we'll let you know when we get to that point. Third is sexual intimacy. We live in a time when so many people are dissatisfied with themselves and in their relationships that it's hard for them to be intimate with each other. In fact, some people's personal histories and their backgrounds have gotten in the way of their being intimate with someone in their relationship. Next, this is a biggie. We're going to focus on this tonight. Unresolved conflicts. We don't have any of those, do we, honey? No. We have them about every day.
We do.
But we've learned to work through them.
So we can work through it.
Next is the biggie called lack of trust. And unfortunately, many people have been bruised and battered by parents, family, siblings, relatives, cousins, society, teachers, spiritual leaders, countries, politicians. People of leadership impact you in ways that cause you to question whether you can trust, which then influences you. Like tonight, you might be wondering, how can you trust what we're going to say is true? You know, there's your perception, and then there's somebody else's perception, and then there's reality. And the question is, are you living in reality, or are you living in your perception? And the problems usually happen when we're living in our perceptions. Next, that's an issue in relationships is boredom. You know, we could have just done this as a little thing where all the people are sitting at the back of the chairs and doing those kinds of things, but we wanted to make it special for you. Something that you'll remember so that you're not bored. And what is boredom? The absence of a good idea. So what are you doing to create freshness in your relationship? And then finally is betrayal, where you were taken advantage of or somebody did something to create distrust in that relationship. So we want to break you of all those kinds of things, and we want to create this as a blessing for you in so many different ways. So what are the three gifts that we're going to focus on tonight? If you go to your next page, gift number one is to communicate with love.
So the scripture there is, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, which is James 1:19.
So if you go to your next page, we have the powerful message that Linda's going to share with you that is something that most people don't see. It's on a visual here. You're not going to be seeing this.
This is not in your book.
So hopefully you're going to be able to see on the screen.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm showing you this because this is our DNA. And what I want you to see, because was the most powerful thing when I saw this, it just hit me. And so for our church, and pastors been asking us to rise up into who we are in Christ, not who all of our friends, parents, siblings said we were, because that's a box that keeps us limited. And we have an assignment. Everybody in this room has an assignment, but you're not going to be able to fully get that assignment. You can't hear me?
Just leave it there. Hold on, he's checking the audio. Yeah, hold on, just stay here for a second. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Too close. I like this part.
Here?
All right.
That's better.
How's that?
Is that no? Still can't.
Keep talking. Linda, you're on. Well, let me just make sure we get that working. Hold on, just to stay here for just a second. Okay, so talk if you will. Just say something.
Hello, can you hear me now? No.
Can't hear her now. All right, so let's check this. And Richard, if we can figure that out. Now you can use that.
Okay. So this shows us that we are literally marked by Christ. And this is huge. This is huge. So when you get that, then you can move into who he says we are. Because if you can't move into who he says we are, and you can't overcome all of the things that have happened to us so that we feel unworthy, we feel insignificant, we will not be able to communicate in our marriages either. And so this is where the two of them come together. So in this, this is a picture of the lamin that is a protein molecule. Then this holds the human body together. So the lamins are the key driver to be able to regulate your tissue, the organization and cellular structure of your body. And so literally this is in every cell of your body. But it gets better. It gets better. Did you know that every strand, Did you know that every strand of the human DNA is marked with the name of God? This was incredible to me. So there are bonds holding, you can see the two blue, so those are strands that make up the DNA. So this is a polymer, those are polymers, and they wind together to create like a helix. But inside the helix are pairs of acidic, they're nucleotides. And so these nucleotides hold the strands together. And so if you look at it, every 10th pair of nucleotides, the 5th, the 6th, and the 5th again, in the Hebrew numeric meaning, it is the 10th letter is Yard, the 5th letter is Hay, and the 6th letter is Ralph, and it spells Yahweh Haryeh. And so Yahweh's name is literally written in every strand of your DNA. This is how come our DNA is so important. This is how come we do not want to change our DNA, because we are truly marked by Christ.
So, if you'll go to your next page, page 1, the first gift that we want to talk about is the one that most people have trouble with, called effective communications. And the objective of all communications is what we call TUL, total unconditional love.
So the outcome is to create an environment of love when we're communicating, love and acceptance for ourselves and others that's going to lift people up so that they can be, because it's our job. We are to give love, lift them up into who God says they are. So the purpose is to eliminate feelings of rejection or disconnection, because those feelings jerk us around all the time, and it keeps us from living in our true identity and godly purpose. So this not only, when we can do this, this not only leads us to live in our dreams and it keeps us living in our dreams.
So most people have had what we call TCL, total conditional love. I love you if, I love you when, you're my friend when, I care about you when, and it's conditional. And so I encourage you to learn the difference between total unconditional love, which is really what Jesus gave us, right? And our birthright is that. And our opportunity every day is to learn to give that to ourselves and to give that to other people. And you'll always know by your behavior and their behavior how well you're doing at that. So we have to give a lot of grace to ourselves and grace to other people, because we're human. And so you're going to make mistakes. The question is, how do we align? God created us in wholeness. And then we were separated by our behavior, and all we're trying to do with the rest of our lives is line our behavior up with who God truly made us to be. And that's what we want to give you, the tools to do more of that today and the rest of your life. So if you look down at the bottom in the middle of your page here, it says, what are the rules for the communication process? We're going to go through each one of these. And the first one is to seek first to understand, then be understood. You know, most of us, because we haven't gotten our needs met, it's I, it's me, take care of what I need first. Well, the first thing you want to do is seek to understand where they're coming from. And then you can take where they're coming from with where you're coming from and create a new connection. So first, you see the problem from the other point of view. You really seek to understand and to give impression to the needs and concerns of the other party or other person, as well as, or better than, that they could themselves. Number two.
Number two is listen totally and completely with no interruptions.
Oh boy, don't interrupt you like now, honey.
Yes, that would be good. Thank you.
Don't finish your sentence.
Oh,
don't say, I know what you're going to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's music to my ears.
Excuse me, darling.
So no interruptions and no facial expressions. Look the person directly in the eyes. Look the person directly in the eyes.
None of you do that, right?
And then identify the key issues and concerns, not your positions. So when you're listening, you might hear words that you don't think are true, or you don't think that could possibly, or that, immediately your position, and so you dig your heels in. But just listening is really loving. I know what Bill does for me is that he will just look me in the eyes if I'm frustrated or exasperated or whatever. He'll just look me in the eyes, and then he'll just listen and let me download. And what that does is it makes me feel cherished, significant, valuable. And so there are really two lessons here in this, which are very, very important. Number one is never, ever tell somebody they don't feel that way. And I know that's easy to do because you might think, well, how could he possibly feel that way? That doesn't even make any sense. But don't ever tell somebody that, because what it does is it's really a form of rejecting the person. And it dismisses their feelings, and so then it dismisses parts of them. And so you never want to do that. The other thing is do not interrupt. Very important, because if you do interrupt, sometimes they're out of flow, and it will interrupt what they really want to say, and it take the whole thing off course.
So what do you do in those circumstances where you have something you want to input that they don't know that they need to know? What do you do then?
Well, I just come to you and I say, I have something I need to share. Are you in a place that you can listen?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Notice how nice that was. You like that? All right, so the other thing is watch your body position. Do you ever go like that? You said that? No way. And all of a sudden your body position gets off a position. And then what does that do? Then that triggers them, and then all kinds of things terrible happen. All right, let's go to number 3. Ask the person questions, taking crucial words from what they said. Determine what results would constitute a fully acceptable solution. So, for example, you just say something. What did you want me to do today that I didn't do today?
Well, let me think. Actually, I would have liked you. I had one thing that I wanted you to look into, and you didn't do that today. There wasn't time.
Okay, so what was the key word she just used that I could create a question out of? What's that one thing? So now I'm going to ask her. So, darling, what was that one thing that I didn't get around to that you would have liked me to have gotten around to?
Well, we had things to do for our website, and we had some things that we were going to send out. And you wanted to wait and check out some other things, and you didn't get to check it out.
All right. So now I understand where she's coming from. So ask the question, a follow-up question, with a key word from what they're saying, and watch how that changes the relationship. Now, Gaynell, Cletty, come on now. Be well behaved over there. All right, number 4.
Okay, number 4. Identify possible new options to achieve the results that you're looking for. So when we do this, And it makes both of us feel loved and really honored and cherished. So it bonds us together. But the most important thing that we have noticed is that he'll have part of the solution and I'll have part of the solution. And so unless we do this, unless we come together and really hash it out, the solution is never as good as it could have been. And even at the last minute, there might be things that I remembered that he said in the beginning and thought they were so far off. And then by the time we're near the end of it, I think, oh, what he was saying is really a great idea. And it just takes it to another level. So that's really important to do. Sometimes it's really messy. And sometimes we really, really, really do not want to do it. We're tired, we've had enough. But when we do, we always get wonderful results. And if somebody's in a place that, you know, they've had enough, they just can't do anymore, then we just say, okay, how about if we've gotten this far, let's just table it and we'll come back after, you know, at another time. And then usually we'll mark a time, because you can't just table it and not come back. You have to come back. And so it's important to set up a time so that you know when you're going to come back and redo it.
So have you found that when you do it together, partnership's a lot better than when you do it on your own?
Absolutely.
And so the idea is 1 + 1 can equal 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. And the idea is to let the other person have their time to share. And the problem that Linda and I have, the opportunity, is we're both talkers. If you kind of notice that we're both kind of talkers. And so the challenge for us is who's going to get to finish the conversation and make their comments. And so we'll say, are you complete? Which is our clue for each other. You got to get your own language together. Are you complete? And then she'll say, no, then I'll need to listen a little longer.
The most important, well,
go ahead.
Yeah, that's really true. And the most important thing is not to take offense by anything that was said. And that's so easy to do. But that is the bait of Satan. You know, keep in mind, we're living in the end times, and Satan wants your marriages, guys. And so taking offense, even if you have to just bite your tongue or whatever you have to do, and then go to God, because don't take offense. That is his way of getting in. And when he gets in, he can take that and run with it. And that's something you really do not want to have happen.
And there's where we want to give each other grace. Grace. Grace to be able to deal with the unexpected, the unknown. You know, the idea of coming home, the home is supposed to be a sanctuary where you get rejuvenated. Because when you're outside in the world dealing with all the different things that you do every day, you find yourself being beat up by different circumstances. And so you want to make sure that your home is a respite, a place of rejuvenation, a place of restoration, a place of fun, a place of lightness, a place of relaxation. And literally have conversations about how you can do that. In fact, create a room where that room has a setting in it that just is smooth and just so inviting to be in. We've created several rooms like that where we watch different shows, we watch movies together, we might be just hanging out. We have another space for that. We like to be outside, so we have a little deck area. We put some nice flowers background. What are you doing to create the kind of environment that's conducive to the kind of relationship that you want? And these things don't have to cost a lot of money to do them. So go with us now to page 2. Continuing on with the effective communication is, so how do you get your needs met? So one of the things that goes on is people have needs and they have wants. And most people think needs and wants are the same. Write this down if you will. Needs are vital to your well-being, and wants are preferences. I need water, but I want lemonade. I need oxygen, but I want fresh air. So a need is essential, and usually there are not many vital needs that you have, but there are a lot more wants that you have. And so what happens in relationships is people's needs and wants aren't in alignment with each other, and that's where those conflicts come up. So Linda's going to share with you now how you can get your needs met. There's several stages to this.
These 3 steps to asking for your needs to be met. This is where we made our very first rule. And our very first rule was...
A little further down, there you go.
Okay. Our very first... Turn this off.
Just turn it off. Just
Okay, there you go.
Okay, this is where we had our very first rule. And our very first rule was to tell each other 100% of the truth all the time. And that's more challenging than you might think, because maybe there are times we really didn't want to share what was really going on in your head, because I might be so angry with him that if I really told him how I felt, that he might take offense, or he might not love me, or a whole variety of things. But that's very challenging to then not tell the truth. But if we don't, then it begins less and less and less and less truth. It's easier and easier. And what also happens is, see, this is where the communication is. This is where the bonding is. This is where the trust is built that Bill was talking about. And so it's really important to be able to share your feelings. And so I will literally say, like we just said, I have something that I want to share with you. Are you in a space? It's not something that's, a positive thing. And if he's not, he'll say no. And that I want him to say no, he's not. Or we can start, and then I can tell he's not, and so then we come back and again set it up for another time. But the other piece to this is that you have to trust that the partner that you're sharing your feelings with or needs that you want to get met, it's really important that they're a safe partner, so that they don't, they're safe to bounce things off of. They're safe to hear negative things, so that they don't shoot back at you. Well, that was a stupid thing, or whatever it is, because that just wounds. And so the fastest thing that removes joy from a marriage is to have all kinds of harsh, raised voices, or criticizing, demeaning tones. All of that will completely take the joy out of the marriage. And it's very hard to overcome. And so it's really important that you are a safe partner to do this. So when you do come back, keep your voice calm so that your reactions don't trigger the other one. Because that's what it's all about. It's really about not what I shared, but the reaction that we both have with whatever it is.
And the key piece to that is there's a difference between reacting and interacting. Reacting is the back and forth that doesn't work. Interacting is where you're having dialogue back and forth. And so we have to remind ourselves that sometimes we might want to react. And where's that reaction coming from? It's a trigger of unfinished business that you have going on in you that's not been resolved. And if that continues over and over again, then it becomes a ritual, then it becomes a tradition, and then that spouse can always look at it and say, oh, here they go again, they're going to go off on that subject again. And then what happens is they tune out. So we want you to tune in by finding out what you can do to change that.
Okay, so go back to your page, and these are the 3 steps. The first thing, it's very important to get your needs met. Both husband and wife need to get your needs met. If you don't, you're just going to wear out. And you won't be able to do this through your willpower. So it's important you get your needs met. So the first step is ask yourself, what need do you have that you want to get met? You have to know what your needs are.
And oftentimes people don't know what their needs are. And so very simply, you want to stop and just pause for a moment and say, what's vital for me right now? What's essential? And in the beginning, you might not know. Well, there's an example of where when you don't know, it's always better to go to the Lord. Lord, what is it, the need that I have that I don't know that I now know that I need to have that you know? And hopefully he will give that to you.
So the next piece of that is you want to ask for your missing piece, and that creates peace, P-E-A-C-E, and that's the fill-in. So then you're going to ask, what I need from you is, and then whatever your need is, and then what I want from you is, and whatever you want to have happen, and then would you be willing to do that for me? And if the answer is yes, you're in like Flynn. If not, the answer is no. Then you say, well, what would you be willing to do? Because sometimes it's not that they don't want to fulfill your need, but there's something else that's coming up. So, for example, on your page, what I need from you is some time to myself for a while. What I want from you is for you to take the children out on Saturday to the zoo so that I can have the house to myself. Is that something you would be willing to do for me?
Yes, I would be willing to do that for you.
Great. So, You want to go back and forth and
Yeah.
share this? Okay.
So we're going to give you an example of this so that you can see what it actually is going to look like. So
go ahead.
what I need from you is when you want to tell me a story, that you consider how long of a story I need to hear.
Okay.
So you all can relate to that, huh? So that's the need. What I want for you is to consider, before you say what you're going to say to me, to determine how much you think you need to share, small, medium, or large. The third step, would you be willing to do that for me?
Yes, I would be willing to do that for you. And just, you'll have to remind me if I'm not doing it the way I think I'm shortening the story and you don't think I am. So you'll have to just remind me. So how about if we have a little signal for each other so that we don't interrupt one another? So we'll just say, you can just say that.
Oh, so this is tighten up?
Tighten up.
Okay.
That'll
so
do it for me.
Less is more, darling?
Less is more.
All right.
Tighten up.
That works for me.
That works
so
for
if
me.
either one of us does that, we'll know.
We'll know. That's
say
it.
less is with less.
Yes.
Less words.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm willing to do that.
Okay, great. Me too.
You want to share one now? Give people an example the other side?
Let's see. Well, right now I have a lot that I need to get finished. I have a lot on my plate.
Yeah.
So what I want from you is to be
What
able
you
to...
need from me?
What I need from... Yeah, okay. So what I need... Thank you. What I need from you is to take some of that off my plate. And what I want from you is to maybe on your way home from pickleball, run by the grocery store and pick up this list that I'll give you. And that would help me out a lot. Is that something you'd be willing to do for me?
Absolutely. You give me the list, text me the list, and I'll bring it all home. I'll bring home the bread, baby.
All right, thank you.
All right. So now you get an idea of how that operates, and now we want to give you an experience of the experience. So we'd like you with your spouse, if you came with a spouse, and for those of you watching, if you're with a spouse, and if you're not with a spouse, then find somebody that you can do this with or prepare a future conversation. All right, so here's what we'd like you to do. Identify a need that's an unfinished business need that you have. Now, folks, make this simple. Don't go to the hard one right now, okay? Build up to that. Don't go to the one that you talked about before you just got in here that you were ready to kill each other over. Pick a simple thing that you can have success with, okay? So what we want you to do is each of you, so the first person, we'll do the first person. So pick an A and a B. Pick an A and a B. Who's going to be the A and who's going to be the B? Pick an A, who's a B? All right. So the A's, you're going to go first. You're going to look at those A, B, C, and D. You're going to go through A, B, and C. What I need from you is, what I want from you is, would you be willing to do that for me? And you want to be able to hopefully get a yes answer. All right? So now, if the A's will now ask for their need, go ahead and share that with your partner. All right, now this didn't have to take any longer than that. It needs to be about a minute. So now, how many, by a raise of hands, how many of you got your need requests granted? How many of it, by show of hands, they said yes, they'd be willing to do that for you? All right, about half of you. So let's now have the B's make their request. So switch gears, ask what I need from you is, what I want from you is, would you be willing to do that for me? Go ahead, the B's, see what you can do to get your request taken care of.